Hi, Robin.
Hi. Hi. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Thank you very, very much. You've taught me so much. I have two questions, so I'll be really, really quick. One, I come from that background where like money didn't grow on trees, but my parents also, they were divorced, so they fought over child support. There was always a fight on, money. So I'm kind of a back up against the wall. I always make just enough money to do what I need to do to get by. And now I'm in that point where I'm in like, I want the abundance and I want to, keep it and save it and grow it. But still in my own business, I have a fitness business. I still chase that like, well, how much do I need for next month? And then so that I'm secure. So I still find myself kind of like with my dad in my ear of like, as soon as I make money, you come at me and you always have a bill for college or this or that. So that's like playing in my head that like, how do I kind of unblock the chasing just enough? And the second one really quick is I was in a lot of business debt. I'm a single mom of two. I just faced all of it. So instead of going bankrupt, I called everybody, faced all my creditors. I'm so super proud of myself. I got payment plans or paid a bunch of debt off like on my own. Took about a month, but I'm really excited about it. I've never been so excited to write checks and pay bills in my life, but it feels good to be on top of it. But so I'm doing that, but I've been running my own business for a while and I have two kids and I like experiences. And so I like to travel and do vacations and I've been paying for everything in cash. So there's no credit cards or anything. Is that irresponsible of me to still take that time with my kids in vacations while I'm trying to pay down debt and still kind of getting into that abundance mind frame? If that's too much to ask, but that's like where I'm at. I don't want to be irresponsible, but I also, freedom is my number one thing. So
okay, fantastic. Well, first of all, I love your energy, and one thing I want to say to you, and I'm saying it to everybody here. So there were moments where you said "but," right? Like "but." So you gave me all these great things, but you're like "but," and then you told me what you want to do. Replace the word "but" with the word "and."
Okay.
Because the moment you put "but" into something, it's immediately a negative, and it's a negative. I mean, it sounds so, it's a negativity verb, right? Like a word. And so like, just don't say "but," say "and." You know what? Like I want to do all these things responsibly, and I still want to do this. What's so beautiful about the questions you have is the way in which they almost fit so perfectly into the four questions I went through today.
Right.
So like, number 3, which was, what is your biggest money victory? You just started listing them all. And you have a lot of money victories. So I would go and I would write out you got to do this stuff in your journal. And I know a lot of you are using the journal now on the app. Write this out, right? Because it's real when you write it. When you say it, it's partially real. When you write it and you can go back and look at it again, it just embeds the power of you inside you deeper. So I would go write out all those victories you've had. You also shared that what you had happen to you with your dad. That's a money memory from your parent, from your father. Your parents went through a divorce. Those are so write out the money traumas. Like, this is the lesson that my dad gave me. And again, like I shared my lesson with my mom, sometimes these lessons can be negative and sometimes they can be positive and sometimes they can be both. But the important thing for you is to go back and look at these lessons. And then I'm not going to ask you how old you are because that would be unfair, but at the
44.
44, okay, at the beautiful age of 44, ask yourself, are those lessons that you learned from your father, how old do you think you were when you learned that lesson from your dad?
I was like 8, 10 years old.
Would you say that lesson serves you now?
So well, it doesn't mean I don't know. It's always it's driving me to want more. So I guess it's serving me to do better. Yeah. So
I dig through the lessons. If there's something that doesn't serve you, you can decide to let it go. If there's something that serves you, you can decide to magnify it. Right. So, when you go to like question number 4, which is what kind of relationship with money do you want going forward? You just started telling me like I want to travel with my kids. There's all the stuff I want to do. I want to have more. I don't want to be as a fitness trainer month to month. Right. So write it out. Okay. and don't write it out like I want it, because these things don't change in a day. They don't change in a month. They often don't change overnight in a year. But if you write out like 3 years from now, this is what I want my relationship with money to look like. This is the financial abundance that I want to have. This is how I want my life to look 3 years from today. Then you can work backwards on what do I actually need to start to do. There are so many people who are fitness trainers that were in the day-to-day one-on-one fitness training business pre-COVID. And now they're in the day-to-day coaching of many, many, many more people now. Because they're coaching just like we're doing coaching. And I have seen fitness trainers who have double, tripled, quadrupled their income during COVID. And I've seen fitness trainers that have been devastated completely and not making any money. Right. So you are living if you're going to stay in the fitness training business, there's so many options for you. There's so many vehicles, but the most important thing is you getting clarity around what do you want and come up with a 3-year plan and make it a beautiful, victorious vision. Like, I'm sitting here, write a letter to yourself, Robin, in 3 years, and write this beautiful letter to yourself of what your life is going to look like. Seal the letter up, date it, stick it in a file folder, put it also somewhere in your journal so you can go back and look at it, but make that letter super personal and deep to you that you want nobody else to see. And I think you'll be shocked by what you turn around and it happens in 3 years when you open it.
All right.
Thank
you.
You're totally welcome. Give her a hand, everybody. Well done.
I just want to ask you, I'm retiring in about 3 years. And with Canadian stuff, I have an investor. And for a long time, I'm a nurse. So a long time, part-time, we didn't have our benefits and anything. So I'm playing catch up. And I entered the nursing game in when my pension started coming in or building up at late in the game. I have 3 years left. I've taken your advice and I've really upped as much money as I can in my RSPs, mutual funds, savings accounts. My question to you, I guess, is going to be, I have my advisor, but part of me with a poverty of thought type of mentality that I've had for a few years, that I'm getting rid of, thanks to you, by the way. Should I be investing everything with him with my investor? Or I'm also doing it on my side with my bank account. I put my RSPs, GICs away as well. Or should I don't want to put everything in one basket, even with my financial advisor who I trust and love. So what is your advice around that? And I have 3 years to benefit from my federal job. I work with soldiers with trauma, and I really want to finish that off with putting as much money as I can. Own my house, own my car. Like, I've been really stingy with my money, except for now savings. So if you can give me some good advice.
Well, first of all, good for you, because it sounds like you're doing everything right. So round of applause on that. And also, I love I love talking to Canadians because it's been such a privilege for me to spend time up in Canada. And it took so much work to get my books Canadianized.
Yes.
I can't tell you because the publishers fought that. And what happens is US books come up to Canada and they still sell. And I had to fight for years to actually have my books translated for Canada. Okay. And so like when you say RSP accounts, I know you're talking about because I had to learn all that stuff. And so I'm just so glad that that's reached you. And I really appreciate you asking the questions. And I think, so here's a couple things. I want to repeat what you said because I think it's important to listen to yourself. And you said what you said today, and this is I'm repeating this back to you so that people can listen to themselves. Is you said, you know what, I love my financial advisor. So interestingly enough, you love your advisors. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so that means probably you've got a great advisor. I would hope so, because it sounds to me like you like them. Yeah. And you said, but I still don't want to put all my eggs in one basket.
Yes.
And I think that you should honor how you feel.
Okay.
Because how you feel is real. For whatever reason, how you feel is real. You feel right now at this point where you are, you feel inside you like you would not be comfortable putting all your money with one person. Now,
Right.
here's the key thing I will say. You can have your money completely diversified in many, many different baskets with one financial advisor. I personally just so you know, you're not normal. So you know, you are normal. You're not normal. You are normal. The average person has, I never understood how the statistic came to be, but the average investor has 2.7 financial advisors. I don't know how you cut the third person in 3/4, but the point basically is that the average person has 3 advisors.
Okay.
And by the time they retire, most people have money, both in Canada and in the US and probably all over the world, in multiple places. In fact, I think most people today have, unfortunately, they have money off in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 locations. They've opened up online accounts themselves. They've got, in your case, you've got RSP accounts and you've got GIC accounts, you've got bank accounts.
Yeah.
And I do believe that when you retire, in an ideal world, you find one advisor that you truly trust, you build a totally diversified portfolio, and you have one person where all of your money is in one location because it's easier to manage it and monitor it and move it. If you choose not to go that route, you can still have an advisor that you can go, look, they should know what else ideally you have, because they should be giving you financial advice based on your overall financial picture.
Yeah.
What often happens is that financial advisors only see part of the picture and they don't know about the other money. And then they're making financial decisions for you and they're giving you guidance and coaching without the overall picture. A good financial advisor, by the way, will not do that. A good financial advisor will say, look, you don't have to bring me all your money, but we need to do a financial plan based on everything.
Okay.
And it's really important to do a financial plan based on everything. That's not just like, well, where should I invest it? But it's really important to run all your numbers. You're at the perfect point if you have not done a real financial plan. Has your advisor done a financial plan where he's run all your numbers for you?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so that's great. And I think you're 3 years out is really critical time frame.
Yeah.
And I would be, candidly, like at least twice a year, sitting down with the advisor and going over the plan and seeing if you're on target.
Okay. Okay. I've been doing it once a year, but I think, it's like I'm on the crunch and I want to be able to spend 6 months a year in Europe. This is what I want to do. So I want to be able to make sure, oh yeah. I'm so jealous. Like, I'm not a jealous person, but you and being in Florence, I'm really jealous. I love traveling throughout Europe. So, okay, I guess
Let me tell you something. You're going to love it. And like the whole, again, back to dreams and goals. When you have clarity around your goals and your purpose, you can make them real. And if your goal in 3 years is to spend 6 months out of the year living in Europe, all I can tell you, Cheryl, is there are a lot of people doing exactly what you want to do. And it is better than you can ever imagine. And it is more affordable than you would ever believe.
That I know. Yeah. I just want to be able to get there and do it. So, okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, good. Well, thank you for asking the question. Thanks for being here.
I'm a fan of Dave Ramsey and have been for a long time until, through GrowthDay, met you and I've been very intrigued by, what I've learned and applying. And just to kind of give you some context, I applied, over 20 years ago, the Dave Ramsey methodology and other learnings that I picked up, and I was able to retire this year. So right now I'm a little bit overwhelmed in the sense of because all my money is I have Fidelity, I have Charles Schwab, and of course I have my checking and my savings, and then I was fortunate that I'll be able, because I'm was eligible for retirement based on my years with the company, that I will be able to keep, have an extra 5 years or so to keep all my stock and what have you. So all that being said, I've been on calls with Fidelity, and they connected me with a couple of financial advisors to select. And, in some of your books I've read, and even the Ramsey around whether you need one or not, and then the fee that they charge. So because it's a lot, right, that it's a complex year for me with regards to taxes and kind of the longer term to really leverage and maximize, what I've been able to save and invest through Infidelity. What's your recommendation? Is it to, seek out that financial advisor and get and have them the planner rather, or is going through your plan of these 13 methods will provide the guidance? Because I'm not too savvy on the stocks and what have you. I've been on the target plan, as you mentioned, as part of the company that I work for. So let me just pause there because I said a mouthful.
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations. Let's give her a round of applause because you look very young and you're retired. So bravo, you did everything right.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's
Well,
fantastic.
just a quick note, David, is that I'm 57 and I'll be 58 in June. So I'm not quite, the world retirement age, if you will. So that's why, I'm very vulnerable and blessed to be able to do it, to have been able to do this. So it's now what's on my mind is, how do I manage all this to ensure that, of course, I mean, I had the analysis done up front before I made my decision, but it's just making sure that, not be foolish and that it's managed appropriately.
Yeah, 100%. So again, congratulations, because 57, 58 is a young age to retire, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
A huge privilege to basically retire 5 to 10 years sooner than the average person. Because the beauty of that is that you are healthy and you're young. And so now you can really go enjoy you have the ultimate affluence, which is time affluence.
Right.
It's nothing else about money. It's actually about time. You basically
Right.
just bought your freedom. So, I love that you read the Dave Ramsey books, and they're great too. And Dave Ramsey's fantastic. And I think there's no such thing as only being one good teacher in the world. There are a lot of good teachers. So learning from multiple people is powerful. Like that's kind of one of the geniuses, I think, of GrowthDay, is that Brendon's brought together all of these different teachers. So here's what, and I don't know all of Dave Ramsey's philosophy. I just know that he's got a lot of great content, and his big thing is getting out of debt. And the whole beauty of getting out of debt is the sooner you get out of debt and then you build savings, the sooner you can retire. And that's, the number one thing I can tell all of you who may be working towards retirement. And this is what I saw being a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. My clients who retired at your age, typically between, I'd say 55 and 60, the ones who are able to retire young, it's because they had no debt. They paid their home off, they had no credit card debt, saved money, but it's the debt. It's paying off the debt that gets you financially free 10 years sooner.
Yeah.
And that 10 years getting to it's not that you have to retire, but having the option of retiring early is a game changer.
Right.
Because then if you ever want to go back to work, you're just working for the fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I am right now. I'm just working for the fun, and I'm here today for the fun. So to answer your question specifically, let me ask you a question. Have you read Smart Women Finish Rich?
I actually just got that book. I read the Millionaire one. And so as I was going through your list, as you told your story, right, about the couple that walked in, and so I was going through your list and I was going, check. Yeah. So where I'm at is, when I got to the piece about on the Millionaire book around the investments, right? And you mentioned Fidelity, you mentioned Vanguard and others. And so it's really about just, what's that next step in terms of ensuring that my money continues to work, right? Because I'm not working anymore. So here's the money that I've been able to save. And of course I have my assets and everything, and I am debt free. And that was another thing that I worked for, was to be debt free at age 55 and retire then. But I just didn't have peace about retiring at 55. So I kept on, right? And until this year was the year, but I'm debt free. And so now it's kind of like, okay, now I need to make sure that this money keeps working, right? So
I'm going to give you specific things here. So first thing I'm going to tell you to do is go read Smart Women Finish Rich. Okay. The reason is that Smart Women Finish Rich is a full-blown financial planning book that literally takes you by the hand. What I would do if I was your personal financial advisor. An important part of that book is how to hire a financial advisor. Okay. What questions to ask a financial advisor. And hundreds of thousands of copies of this book have been given out by financial advisors. And I actually believe that when you reach your age in retirement, you should hire a financial advisor. However, and I say this as somebody who owns a financial planning company, I never want people to go hire financial advisors who have not yet got some financial education, because I want you to find a good financial advisor. So when you read through Smart Women Finish Rich and you read through the section on how to hire a good financial advisor, and you know the questions to ask, then no one can take advantage of you. and you'll find the right financial advisor. And it's valuable to have a financial advisor. You said you're 50, you say you're 57, 58?
Yes, I'll be 58 in June.
It's valuable to have a financial advisor when you reach retirement. And the reason is, in most cases, have you ever retired before?
No.
So most people have never retired before, right? When they retire, it's their first time retiring.
Yeah.
And so all this stuff comes at you and it's complicated.
Yes.
What do I do with my 401k plan? Do I roll it over to an IRA account? How do I invest the money? David, I have money at Fidelity and Schwab. Do I keep money in 2 locations? When do I start pulling money out of my retirement accounts? When do I use taxable money versus tax deferred money? When do I take Social Security? Am I in the right investments?
Yes.
How do I know if I'm spending too much each year or not spending enough? And all of that stuff's complicated. Now, the reality is that a good financial advisor, this is all they do all day long, right? Like a good financial advisor meets with clients and they do 4 or 5 of these meetings a day, and that's literally all they do. So that's what a good financial advisor does. A good financial advisor will help you use your money to live your best life. Make sure you don't run out of it. Make sure it grows faster than the rate of inflation. That's what a good financial advisor does. The challenge is if you run into a bad financial advisor, because a bad financial advisor will sell you garbage products, bad investments, could steal your money. Those are the rare cases. But the problem is you run into one bad financial advisor, uneducated, one bad financial advisor can ruin all the good work you've done.
Yes. And that's my concern. So,
I will say this, Fidelity and Schwab, 2 major, fantastic financial service companies. You work with someone at Fidelity or Schwab, their chances are extremely high. 1, they're a decent advisor. 2, there's what's called compliance, meaning like nothing shady is going to happen working with someone in a major firm like Fidelity or Schwab. If anything shady ever happened, that firm's going to be liable. So I could tell you to go to a Fidelity office or a Schwab office, and that somebody in one of those offices could put together a financial plan for you and more than likely be more than what you need. Depending on the net worth, though, what happens at these firms is they refer you then out to another financial advisor.
that's what happened.
So I won't say what your net worth is, but I know what your net worth has to be for them to do that.
Right.
So at a certain level of net worth, they actually don't typically have you work with an internal advisor. They refer you to 3 advisors, right? Now, those 3 advisors, then you need to go meet with and see which one you like.
Right.
Now, I will tell you this. It's extremely difficult to be one of those 3 advisors that was referred to. So Fidelity and Schwab have a massive process by which they determine who they're sending you to. Because they don't want to refer you to someone that's not going to do a good job, because that would be a disaster. Also, when they refer you to an advisor, I'm giving you behind the scenes how this all works. You have money at Fidelity and they refer you to an RIA, registered investment advisor, because that's who they typically always refer you to. You won't be moving your money out of Fidelity. That RIA is going to work with you to create a financial plan and then show you how to best invest your money at Fidelity.
Right.
Same thing at Schwab. That Schwab RIA is going to, do the exact same thing. Now, ultimately, what you probably want to do is consolidate it all. Because I think having an account at Fidelity and Schwab, it's 2 places. Right. So then you got to go look at 2 different statements. You got to track 2 different accounts. It's much easier to have all your money invested in one location, which can be totally diversified. And ideally you go and meet with one of those 3 advisors and you can really relate to them and you really like them. And then you work with them closely and they'll do these things I've talked about today. They'll create your net worth statement. They will run your numbers for you. And then the critical component of working with that financial planner is not just having them give you the investment plan, because anyone can give you an investment plan, meaning like, okay, Rose, your money's here, but it needs to go here. The next part of the job is for them checking in with you every 6 months and meeting with you and going through how it's doing. and going through with you, how are you doing? What's changed in your life? So that you use this money to go live your best retirement. ROR, return on retirement. But I want you to go read Smart Women Finish Rich, not come trying to sell another book. You can go get a library, get the updated book, because I would prefer that you go meet with those advisors after you've read that book.
Okay.
I'd even bring the book with you. They'll know that you know what you're talking about.
Well, I actually showed, because I met with one yesterday and one today, and I showed him, I told him that, I read your books, David. And so I showed him, so I knew, kind of going into a few questions. And then I do have the Smart Women Finish Rich, which I just got. So I'm going to read that. And then the other question is, what's the realistic fee? I asked both of them that I met yesterday, and they said it's a 1% off the amount of accounts that they manage. Is that realistic?
Yeah, that's totally right in the ballpark of where it is. Depending on your net worth, I would tell you it's a 0.5% to 1.5%. And right now, I think most people are running right around 1%, and it's around 1% on top of the management fees of the actual products themselves. So one of the things you want to do when you meet with a financial advisor, and that financial advisor says to you, hey, Rose, it's 1%. The next question is it 1% all inclusive? Because it won't be. And then if it's not all inclusive, can you show me and break out what the fees are of the investments that you're recommending? Now, anyone who's worth a grain of salt as a registered investment advisor should be showing you both of those things. Because what should happen is they'll show you the portfolio. It's all so easy to do right now because it's all computerized. And they'll show you, hey, Rose, these mutual funds blended together have a cost structure of 0.25, quarter of 1%. I'm just giving that as an example. And then we charge 1%. So it's actually 1.25. Then you know. But yeah, that's right. That's right in line. And you can go, lots of people show you all the math, like if you don't pay 1%, you'll save so much money. Well, yes or no. Because if you don't invest the money well, you will actually cost you a whole lot more than 1%. In Smart Women or Smart Couples, I can't remember which one, I actually break out the data that shows the value that a financial advisor brings to the table. Like they've done research on this, a good financial advisor with a good plan, the value they bring to the table is somewhere between 3 to 4% annually.
Okay.
So was that helpful?
Yes, it was. And I'll certainly share any successes as I go through this. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's been very valuable.
Good. I just want to say one last thing here. When you hire a financial advisor, you are not delegating the responsibility of your money to them. And what I mean by that is at the end of the day, you hire somebody, you still got to watch it. You still got to stay on top of it. And if you ever hire a financial advisor who is not being respectful to you, isn't patient, isn't okay answering your questions, doesn't make you feel good, then you go get a new financial advisor.
Got it. Well, thank you. Well, I certainly would love to have you if you're still in that business.
I appreciate that, but this is that version of that because I don't take clients one-on-one anymore.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, David. How are you? Thank you so much. You're amazing. I'm loving these trainings with you. So thank you for what you're offering. So quick question. I'm going to stick with focus. I could sit here and talk to you all day long, but I'm going to stick with focus. So I have a full-time job, like where I'm a director in a hospital. So I have a lot of employees and tasks. And then I also am an entrepreneur coach. And I have 2 daughters, preteen girl and a teen girl, and a lot of activities. And I find myself, I'm doing all the things that BRENDON recommends. I have my high performance planner. I actually have a planner, and then I have my high performance planner. Like I'm a planner, right? You have to plan. But I find that sometimes I forget about what my goals are. Even though I have I have these goals, I lose focus. And so do you have these lists for all the different places, like your personal, your work, your home, all the stuff? How do you do that?
So I don't do it that way. because I too have written all this stuff. I have the journals. I have Brendan's planner. It's a great planner. I have so many things, right? And exactly what you're talking about. I have so many of these, you know, that I write in. But what I do, I actually have a couple processes that are very simple. One is I have a journal at home that I write in every day. So that's where I do my personal talking to myself journal. This here is my work journal. Like this is what I'm using when I'm working. So I've got a work journal. I've got a personal journal. I've been writing in personal journals since my 20s. Since I heard the story, I think it was Tony Robbins say, if your life is worth living, your life is worth recording. And I just, you know, it's such a gift to be able to go back and read your journals. I go back and I reread my journals all the time. Where was I a year ago? What was I thinking about 2 years ago? Because we have reoccurring themes. And a lot of times it takes us a long time to actually hear our reoccurring themes. But when it's on paper and you're like, oh my God, I've been writing about this for 3 years, deal with it already, right? So that's number one. Number two, I have 3 things in my office. I have the yes now list. I have the not now list. They sit on a bulletin board. Then I have a second long piece of paper that is a 3-year chart. I'm here, and this is what I want to do over the next 3 years. And that's it. That's what's in my office. Those 3 things. And I update the yes now list. I look at the yes now list every single, I can't miss it. It's sitting on a bulletin board, like a $10 bulletin board on my desk in front of my computer. And so it's always there. My family sees it, my kids see it. And you know, eventually things get checked off. And then sometimes, like last year when I got them checked off, I didn't add new things. I checked them off and I'm like, okay, there's only 2 more to go. Whereas there are times where I'm really pushing myself and I go, okay, it's checked off, and I throw a new one up there. So it just depends on where I am at that point in my time.
So your 5 things, your 5 priorities can be personal,
Yes.
like different, like you have 3 businesses, I guess, you know, you could like work and business. I mean, work is different, but you kind of have one list for everything.
Yep. I mean, like if you were to look at my list right now, I'll just tell you what it says right now. Like literally my number 1 is my ankle. And the reason, and also I write down my why. That's why I have why are you serious? Why are you ready to focus on this? So, you know, everything that I want for my life revolves around about being active. I moved to Europe so I could travel all over the world. I'm 54. If I can't walk, I can't travel with my wife the way I wanted to. So like super big clarity, like I want to be able to just go out and walk with my wife, but I really want to be able to ski in a year. I really want to be back on a bike. So I have like all the reasons why I need to do all this work. Like going to physical, I'm back going to physical therapy 5 hours a day. After a while, it is not fun and it is boring and it hurts.
I'm the rehab director. So I actually am the rehab director. So I'm
wow. Where are you located?
I'm in Sandpoint, Idaho, northern Idaho. Yeah.
No, and then you know, everybody's so nice to me at this rehab facility, and they're all Italian. You know, they all speak Italian, but some of them speak a little English with me. But I got huge clarity around the why. It's really important to dig in under the why. If you look at, so that's number 1. Number 2, I happen to be it's been a 6-month progress. It's been on the list from last year. It didn't get finished, but we've been working on the audio update to Smart Women Finish Rich. By the way, that project, the audio update to Smart Women Finish Rich, because I updated the book, and it's so much work to do these audiobooks, has been sitting on the not now list for 3 years. So it was important for me to do it, but it was not important enough for me to do it. But I never forgot about it. The reason the not now list is so important is that there are things you want to do. You don't want to forget about them. I knew I wanted to get it done, but it wasn't a priority the last 2 years. Finally, it wasn't a priority last year. It's going to get done in the next 90 days. So that's on my list. GrowthDay is on my list. Now, interestingly enough, and here's a great example of how this works in the real world. GrowthDay was not on my list on December 29th. December 29th, where's my buddy Brendan, sends me a text. Hey, buddy, can you get on this New Year's Day call with me? What? Sure. I mean, and for anybody but Brendan, the answer is no. I'm on vacation. First of all, I am always on vacation on New Year's. I never work on New Year's. I don't work in the summer. I don't work for most month of December. But Brendan texts me, and I'm literally on vacation. I'm at a spa, and Alicia's like, "You're seriously going to get on this live event with Brendan on New Year's Day?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's Brendan. I love the guy." Okay, next thing I know, there's this thing called Growth Day. Buddy, it's just 45 minutes once a month. Okay, I've been around long enough to know my buddy Brendan, who I love. Nothing is 45 minutes. No big deal. If I'm going to present to you guys for an hour, I'm going to prepare for 10. Right? Like, I don't just show up at these things. This is a keynote to the next level. So something like Growth Day is a great example. This is at minimum 100 hours of commitment of my time for the year. I share that with you because when I decided to do Growth Day, I had to take things off this list. So Growth Day is sitting here at number 3. What got moved off this list? 2 things got moved off this list when I got hurt and decided to do Growth Day. I had 2 books planned. I know how much time those books were going to take, even though I've got a huge team around me telling me it's not going to, everybody always tells you it's not going to take a lot of time. Everything takes more time than people tell you it's going to take. I don't care how good at this stuff you get. Everything takes more time. It's like redoing your house. The person comes over and says, it's going to be a 6-month project. Yeah, that meant a year. It's going to cost 50 grand. That meant 100 grand, right? Like, whatever it is, things are always take longer and cost more. So point being, when I committed to Growth Day, I'm like, it's not going to be one of those things that I'm regretting. I'm going to show up fully present, no matter what, do the work to deliver to thousands of you because I want to make the impact. This is like a way for me to give back. But something else has got to come off my list. I have on here so I'm just literally, you asked the question. I have on here personal finances. I have a whole bunch of specific things that I want to clean up this year related to my family's financial life that are like detail stuff. Partially because I thought I was going to die back in October when I went to an emergency room thinking I had a brain hemorrhage. And I'm like, oh my God, like my wife needs to know where the will is and the insurance and all the stuff I talk about. So there's all these things that are personally related that are on this list that I want to have done this year. And the last thing is extreme family time with my parents and my friends back home. So I'm going home now to see my parents who finally got the vaccine, and I'm going to spend a month with my parents. They don't even know that yet, unless my mom's on this call. But I'm like, hey, I'm coming to visit you guys. But I'm going to spend a bunch of time with my parents because my dad's going to be 81 this month, and my mom is, well, my mom won't want me to tell how old she is, but she's also getting close to that age. So I'm going to go home, and so that's on my list. And so a bunch of things are over on the not now list, and once these things get done, then the not now list, there might be things that come over there. Sorry, that was a long answer to your question, but
No, it's good. It's good. Sometimes I just like, there just seems to be so many that is that feels like it's a priority. And so I need to really, yeah. I have so many projects, and every week I'm looking at what I'm going to do this week, but I feel like every week it changes. And so I don't get the result that I want as quickly as I'd like to, versus maybe just letting more things go and just maybe being a little more hyper focused on certain tasks is what I'm getting today.
Yeah, well, because what happens when everything's a priority, nothing is a priority.
Right. And you feel, and I mean, I do pretty good, but sometimes it's like, I didn't get that done, or like, you just feel that more of that overwhelm, I guess, that you could maybe manage a little better if you use this tool. So I appreciate that. And I'm grateful that Growth Day is on your top 5 because you're bringing it. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I totally appreciate that. And, I just so you know, like, I know everybody here can relate to what you're saying. Like, we're all overscheduled. And we also have our culture is about being overscheduled, specifically like the United States. Some cultures are not about being overscheduled, but the United States is about being overscheduled. And but you don't have to buy into that. You can decide to change. And I think if I would look at all of this stuff as experimenting. You can experiment for 90 days. What if all these things weren't a priority? What if I could only have 3 priorities? What would the 3 be? And then just see if in 90 days does life feel better? Are you feeling more fulfilled, getting more things done? Are you happier? See what happens. Okay, Randy, you're up.
Hey, great, David. I appreciate it. And great stuff today. I'm
Yeah.
66 and I'm COVID retired, if you will. Basically, the job went away and I'm just kind of looking at what I want to do going forward. But I'm just wondering, what different advice would you give for folks that are, say, in my age bracket, maybe even a little older, who are starting to look at the money they've got currently invested in 401s and looking at the tax impact of that, just kind of mapping out the next 5 to 10 years of financials versus being 20 years old, looking at the next 40 years.
Okay. I'm so glad I called on you. I'm so glad you asked this question. Do you mind sharing roughly what your age is?
I'm 66.
66. Okay. First of all, just put this in perspective. Most of my talks are for people your age, because my financial service company, all the talks I do are for people, typically our clients are between the ages 60 and 85. That's when people retire. So let me give you, as quick as I could, almost like a mini little seminar on what I say in these talks.
Outstanding.
But everybody can learn from it. Okay, so there are, and this is not just me, it says, this is like the financial service industry. There are 3 stages to retirement, traditionally. Stage 1 is what's called the go-go years. The go-go years are from age 60 to roughly 70, first decade. Then there are the slower go, then there's the second stage, the slower go years. Those are typically 70 to 80. And then there's the third stage, which I refer to often as won't go. Now, typically that's the man who won't go, because honestly, it's usually the man who, if he lives to be over in his 80s, doesn't have the health to go on the same trips that his wife wants to go to, if they're still married. So what I share with our clients is this. The number one reason you do a financial plan is to do not treat these 30 years of retirement, because that's about an average retirement is somewhere between 20 to 30 years. What the financial service industry has done is scare people so much about running out of money that retirees who did a good job of saving money don't spend any. And what I believe is that in retirement, you want a financial plan done, ideally a financial advisor you can trust, because you want to see in black and white permission to start spending money. Most of our clients, and this is not a solicitation on any part, I'm not asking for any of you to hire us. Most of our clients, the issue is not, are they going to run out of money? Most of our clients, they need to go spend more money, believe it or not. So what I would tell you, because you're 66, is start thinking through, like, what do you really want to do with your life? And once you've got the plan done, start enjoying the money and have fun. Go have fun with it. You're going to be able to do things at 66 that you can't do at 76. It's just a fact. And the other thing I'd say to anybody here, because I talk about this, is that the next 10 years of your life at any age, statistically, the next 10 years of your life are the healthiest years of your life at any age. So you need to treat these next 10 years like they're your years. Here's the beauty of where you are right now. You have, hopefully, Randy, it sounds like you got money, you have health, you have friends, you have family. Like in your 60s, you have all these things around that you can enjoy. So I know we can't all travel right now, but as soon as you've got the vaccine in you and you can do the things you want to do, start doing them. Don't put things off. And then, to not be overly specific, but there comes a point in time where it makes a lot of sense to roll money from a 401k plan into an IRA account. So I just talked about how you build your wealth with a 401k plan, but ultimately you should move it into an IRA account in your name. And then it's very important that you have the beneficiaries up to date, whoever the beneficiaries need to be. And there should be contingent beneficiaries there. Often people have their spouse as a beneficiary, but they haven't put contingent beneficiaries in case their spouse passes away. And often 401k plans, the old ones, were not set up with contingent beneficiaries. All of you should be checking out, making sure your beneficiaries are up to date. Especially if you're in a second marriage. Sometimes people don't get around to taking, I don't know how this is possible, but they don't take their exes off the beneficiaries, believe it or not. So yeah, these are all important things. So I don't know, Randy, I hope that was helpful.
Absolutely, it was great. And I think the key thing there is to enjoy where we are and look at what we're doing now and not be so worried. Because I think you're right. I think so many folks that I've talked to and heard from are saying, well, if you live to be 90, you got to think about how much money that's there. But when you really start thinking about it, do you want to just sit around and do nothing for the next 25 years waiting to see if you've got any money left at 90?
Yeah, and the last thing, you didn't ask me about Social Security, Randy, but I'm a huge proponent of taking the exact opposite of what people say. Our clients who don't need Social Security, I push them to take Social Security early. And people, well, but I don't need the money. I know you don't need the money. Great. So travel first class, buy a new car, give the money to the grandchildren, take a cruise. Like if cruises ever come back, they will. Then just go enjoy it. It's like extra icing on the cake. So I throw that out there.
Absolutely. I did the math on that back last summer when I got into this COVID retirement. And I looked at if I delayed for another 6 years drawing my Social Security, it would take me 12 more years after that to get back to zero. And I just said, that makes no sense. So we started drawing
Makes no
right away.
sense. Yeah. The government wants you to wait, which is a great sign that you should take it early also.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Randy. Great to have you here. I appreciate the question.
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.